In this episode of What Should I Do, we run through a case study where a married couple is making $300,000 a year and they have a 5% match offered through their employer's 401k. Ready to jump in? Let's go. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Casey.craft with Crafty with Money, and on this channel we talk all things money. How to get it, how to spend it, how to save it, how to grow it, and how to keep it. And in this case study, we're going to walk through this married couple, Johnny and Judy, and they're making a total annual household income of $300,000. And to make this easy, we're going to assume that both of them are making the same amount. So Johnny makes $150,000 and Judy makes $150,000. So what should they do? Their employer offers a match up to 5% of their contributions. How should they go about their investments? So let's dive in. First and foremost, if they've got any debt, and I'm talking non-mortgage debt, the first thing I would do is attack that as hard as I possibly could. So if they've got student loans, credit cards, car loans, just get them knocked out of your life, because we're trying to create wealth, not pay off things. So if it takes 12, 18, 24 months to get those knocked out, do it. Just get through that season of life. You will be so glad that you did. They've got a very, very large amount of income compared to most Americans. So they should use their biggest wealth building tool, which is their income, and get all of that paid off. That is the first thing I would do. Next, I would build up an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. So this is just of expenses, not fun stuff, not going out to eat, not going out to buy clothes or handbags or anything like that. This is worst case scenario. They lose their jobs and they need to just survive. They need 3 to 6 months worth of their living expenses. So add up what their monthly mortgage cost is, or their monthly rent. Add up their electricity, their water, gas, cell phone, food, just the necessities in order to make sure that they can survive. So that if worst case happens and they're both out of their jobs, they've got enough time and money to help hold them over until they find new employment. So after that, and why you clicked on this video, is what should they do? So let's take a look. So if they're each making $150,000, I would suggest that they put 15% towards retirement. So at $150,000 each, that's $300,000 total. 15% of $300,000 is $45,000. So we need to figure out a way to make $45,000 go into accounts that are available to them, to make sure that they've got all the tax treatment that they can in these accounts to hold them over to retirement and then take care of them in retirement. So the first thing that I would look at is that 401k, right? So they have a 5% match offered by their employer. So automatically right out of the gate, boom, 5% is going into their 401k. Some employers will offer the ability for you to make Roth contributions, and I'm a big fan of doing that in this scenario. I'm going to pause right here for a second, and I'm going to talk about something called buckets. I really like the idea of having a lot of buckets full come retirement. So there's 4 different types of buckets that I want us to be aware of in this planning. And the first one is Social Security. So as they are employed through this employer, the employer is paying, and so is the employee actually, Social Security into the Social Security system. So that bucket is automatically getting filled, whether they like it or not, but they will like that come retirement, because that will be income for them to live off of. That's one bucket. The second bucket is traditional or pre-tax dollars. So this is money that they can get a treatment on their tax situation right now, but in retirement, when they go to pull those funds, they will get taxed on that. That's one bucket, and that's again called traditional or pre-tax dollars. Another bucket is called the Roth bucket, which is after tax. So this is money that when they put into this bucket, they have already paid the tax on, and then come retirement, those funds are now tax-free. And so that's great. And then the fourth bucket is called a taxable bucket. It's a non-retirement account. It can be individual, it can be a joint account. In this example, we're going to say that this taxable account is joint. And this is the last bucket that I like. And the advantage to this is this can do a couple things. One, it can help in retirement if you want it to, but it can also help to fund future things at a discount by investing in it today. So unpause, let's get back in. So in this particular example, the employer is offering 5% match, right? We've established that. So if I were them and my employer offers the ability for me to make Roth contributions, I would do that. So I would make my first 5% of the 15%, and 5% would be $15,000 going into the Roth 401k. So $7,500 for Johnny, $7,500 for Judy, a total of $15,000. That goes into the Roth bucket. So we've knocked out 5% of the 15% that we have said we were going to do. After that, I would open up a traditional IRA. And in this scenario, we're going to assume that they're 40 years old. Okay, so they're under 50. So for 2024, anybody that is 49 and younger contributes $7,000 into a traditional IRA. If they're 50 and older, you can contribute an extra $1,000, so $8,000 into your traditional IRA. So if they are doing $7,000 each, that equals $14,000 total. That's going into the traditional IRA, and you might have questions about that. Whoa. Why would I do an IRA versus my 401k? Great question. So the ability that you have in an IRA is more than the 401k in that inside your 401k, you're only limited to the funds that they have available on your platform. So you might have 10, 15, 20 different funds to choose from, but that's it. So it's great that they're offered, it's great that you're getting a match, but you are limited with the number of investment options that you have on that platform. In an IRA, you can have so many things inside of it. You can have mutual funds, you can have ETFs, you can have individual stock securities. So if you want to buy Apple, if you want to buy a Microsoft, if you want to buy Ford, whatever, you can have that in an IRA. So you have more investment options available to you inside that account. So that might have been the first question you asked. And the second question was, well, why wouldn't I do a Roth IRA? And the answer to that is there's income limits on Roth IRAs. So for 2024, the phase-out range for income earners is between $230,000 to $240,000 if you are married filing jointly. So because this couple is making $300,000, they're not eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. So instead, they're going to contribute to a traditional IRA. Whoa, back up, Casey. Then how come they're contributing into the Roth 401k? Because there's no income limits for a Roth 401k. So by doing it this way, we're adding up into a lot of the buckets that we have available to us. So by putting in $14,000 into the traditional IRA, $7,000 each, plus the $15,000 that they've already put into their Roth 401k, now they're at a total of $29,000 out of the $45,000 that they have committed to retirement. So they still have $16,000 left over, or $8,000 each. What do they do with it? Go right back into that Roth 401k and put those $8,000 each, or $16,000 total, into that. So that's how I would break it up. And I like doing it in this particular example because, again, Social Security is automatically being filled up, Roth is being filled up, and traditional is being built up. And so within Roth, they'll have contributed a total of $31,000 to their Roth 401k, and they'll have contributed $14,000 into traditional IRAs, but there's more. We didn't account for the employer match. So that employer matches dollar for dollar on the traditional side what they did on the Roth, and so they contributed $15,000 into Roth. So the employer is going to be matching, generally speaking, they will only do pre-tax. They may or may do Roth, but generally speaking, employers will only do traditional with their matching contributions. So that equals $15,000. So now they'll have $31,000 in the Roth bucket, and $29,000 in the traditional bucket, $14,000 from their IRAs, and then $15,000 from the 401k matching. So now they both just almost equally contributed to both Roth and traditional. So now their buckets are nice and full. So that is what I would do with their retirement investing. After that, I would open up a taxable account, which we talked about the bucket earlier. And they can have their own individual. I kind of like things to be a little bit consolidated and simpler. So I might recommend doing a joint taxable account. And this account is going to be one of their best friends. This helps buy future things at a discount by investing in them today. So let's say you want a $50,000 car, but you've only got $40,000. Obviously, you're $10,000 short. Well, let's say that you don't need the car for a period of time, let's say 5 years. Then that could grow to enough to be able to afford the car. So even the car costs $50,000, it's kind of like you bought it for 40 because you invested in this account and then it grew to this amount and boom, there you go. So now you bought it at a discount. So I love the taxable account, and this complements anybody's financial portfolio extremely well. So again, what I would do if I were in their shoes, I'd make sure I pay off all the debt. I've got a nice 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and I would fill those retirement buckets just like I described. And in addition to that, have that taxable account being funded as well. So as time goes on, those buckets are getting full, and that just means they have much more opportunities available to them come retirement. Because if we're only doing one thing and we're just focused on only Social Security or only pre-tax, guess what? We've only got one ingredient to work with. And I think of the kitchen in this scenario. If I've only got eggs, I'm really limited to the number of things that I can make. But if I've got eggs, I've got flour, I've got butter, I got sugar, guess what? I could make a lot of delicious cookies. If you've got any questions, I would love to walk through your scenario with you. If you need help with your investments or how to approach your financial plan, this is what I do. This is what I'm here for. If you like this content, give it a like, give it a subscribe, send it to a buddy, and thank you so much for your support. It means a lot.